Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of the more popular pop singers and artists in the United States and the world today. I'm of course talking about Taylor Swift. She admittedly had a few catchy, poppy, interesting songs throughout her career, but more recently she's turned into this sort of activist slash kind of, I don't know, I don't listen to her music much at all. I mean, I had a few of her songs on my iPod before. I've listened to a few over the years. You know, my wife likes pop music. She's enjoyed a few, but overall she seems to be waning in popularity, and I think that's partially why she's had this new turn. Recently, she's turned to politics. She's gotten political despite previously being apolitical, not really mentioning it before. In fact, this is the video where we're finally going to have to turn on her fully and completely, because previously we celebrated Taylor Swift. We had a popular video, I believe from late 2017, where we talked about how woke leftists and liberals were attacking Taylor for not being political, for not getting woke enough. They also seem to attack her for being straight and white, you know, not the demographics that liberals prefer, because they're very identity obsessed and they hate white people and Americans. But the point was, the real greater point was, she wasn't getting political. She wasn't supporting any kind of causes. She was just focusing on her music, and we really respected her for that. That's the video I made originally. I was like, that's cool, good for you. This is what more celebrities should be doing, really, especially the really woke ones that don't know what they're talking about. But ever since then, throughout 2018, 2019, and up until now, she's been getting progressively more woke. Her last album included some pro-alphabet songs. She did a really cringy video where she dressed up and had all these rainbow flags in it and stuff, just showing that she's down with the causes. And that was the first step in the wrong direction. That's where we first started to notice that maybe all that hate from the liberals and the Hollywood elites was getting to her. So she finally caved in on the issues. Then she also made a video where she cross-dressed and pretended to be a man in the music video, and she acted like she was being this sort of hero, and the whole song was about how, you know, women aren't respected like men. Like, she was trying to do this feminist thing in the next song that was really woke and terrible, and just based on false assumptions and wrongness and like crap that she clearly never experienced. I mean, if the world was so sexist, like, why is she worth $500 million? Like, why is she so widely accepted? And just like this whole kind of like, you know, she's an American little icon. She's like rich and famous and all this stuff, and at the same time she's complaining about being a woman. It's like totally ridiculous. But the next thing, this is the news story. This is where she really jumps the shark. It says Taylor Swift backs Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in first public presidential endorsement. So this is clearly a full reversal on her apolitical, issue based stances before. Now she's going in full speed. She's conforming to the Hollywood expectations, to entertainment, to the music industry. And it just goes to show she's getting woke. She's gone woke, and it's because, you know, she couldn't take the backlash anymore, I guess. She just wanted to support the candidate and, you know, conform to what all of the left-wing run society wants of her. She's not a rebel anymore. She's an instrument of the establishment. You know, she's part of the system now. She's gone full corporate. You know, this is what corporate America supports, big tech, you know, all the companies. Like, this is just the least punk rock thing you could do. This is like exactly what everyone wants you to do, and it's just a bad sign. Taylor Swift announced Wednesday that she will be voting for Democrat nominee Joe Biden and running mate Senator Kamala Harris in the 2020 election, her first ever public presidential endorsement. The superstar broke the news on social media hours before the first and only VP debate between Vice President Pence and Harris. Swift shared an image of herself holding cookies with Biden-Harris 2020 written on them, as well as her cover for V Magazine's The Thought Leaders issue, in which she spoke about the endorsement in an interview. The cover shows Swift with the word vote superimposed over her face. So this is just another celebrity endorsement, just another classic kind of like liberal move. This has happened with other celebrities. It reminds me of like Katy Perry or Miley Cyrus. They were supporting Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Not really very political or woke right now about Biden. I'm not sure what's up with that. I mean, I guess they're just too busy, or they don't care, or they're sick of supporting candidates that lose and getting embarrassed afterwards. I mean, this is just really cringe. These pictures are super off-putting. It also focuses on Taylor's face, which when you really look into it, you could see that she's not nearly as pretty as she really is. Like, the makeup and the angles really really help a lot with her. But that's besides the point. The point here is she's getting really woke. She's going with Biden endorsement. And the other thing worth noting is these endorsements don't really matter. Like, people don't care what singers and rappers and actors think about voting. Like, it's not really affecting our lives. They don't know anything more about politics than us. They're just working a different job. Like, sure, she's rich. Sure, she's famous. But what makes Taylor Swift someone that you would look up to and say, oh, that's who she's voting for? Maybe I should consider who she's voting for. It's like, no, she's not smart. She's just a woke activist now. She's just a whiny kind of like feminist wannabe kind of woke. And she's doing it in the worst way. She stayed out of it early on and she should have just stayed out. And now she's coming in later and it's kind of just like makes you think, it's like, so what, you weren't woke before? Like, now you're all of a sudden super into it. It's like, okay, you're doing it for attention. You're trying to sell your new album. Her star is waning. People don't care about her songs as much anymore. She's getting old. She doesn't look great. You know, she's just like this kind of like frumpy, like weird person saying to vote for Biden. Like, Biden, this kind of female abuser, you know, Harris, this terrible career politician from California who slept her way to the top. I mean, these are not great endorsements. I wonder if she even mentions the issues, you know, like if there's actual reasons why she would prefer a candidate over another, because just simply saying you're voting for a candidate and like no backup behind it, I think she just expects all her followers to go along with that. And I'm sure some of them might, you know, some of them will. I don't think she's like changing minds though. I don't think a lot of her supporters are even voters. They're probably young kids. And if they can vote or will vote, they were probably already going to vote a certain way. So I just see this as political theater and another celebrity endorsement that's really not going to help. You know, these celebrities endorsed Clinton a lot. You know, Jay-Z, Beyonce, all these people supported Clinton and it didn't help her win. The music icon is one of 12 public figures featured on the covers of the issue, which draws attention to 45 musicians, political figures, actors, and others who are ushering in the future of social and cultural activism, People report. V Magazine shared a link to what appears to be a preview of Swift's interview and her cover on Twitter. The magazine also tweeted the profiles and covers of other cover stars, including Megan Rapinoe, Mariah Carey, and Jaden Smith. The change we need the most is to elect a president who recognizes that people of color deserve to feel safe and represented, that women deserve the right to choose what happens to their bodies, and that the alphabet community deserves to be acknowledged and included, Swift stressed in the piece. Now, this is just showing her total lack of knowledge about politics. I mean, Trump recognizes people of color. Many of them work for him. He's had whole campaign slogans about, you know, saving black people's jobs, getting them more work, you know, helping women. He hires many women. He loves women. The women in his life love him. They have choice to what happens to their bodies. He's also the most pro-LGBT president there's ever been. I mean, Biden and Obama were anti-gay marriage for a few years before they finally flip-flopped and allowed gay marriage. Trump has always been pro-gay marriage. He's always supported the LGBTQIA LMNOP community. He's held pride flags. Like, this is just all nonsense. This is just her like reiterating stuff like, oh, she heard Trump was racist and he hates gay people, so she thinks that's true. It's like, no, you are a dense songwriter who basically writes songs about breakups every month. Like, that's all she does, every album. It's like, oh, this is how I broke up with this person. This guy's terrible. It's like, okay, Taylor, I think you might need to consider it might be you. If you keep breaking up with all these great dudes and you just can't hold down a man, even though you're like the richest chick in the world, like, that's probably on you. And it shows that you're a bad person. You are a bad judge of character. You don't like men, I don't think. I think she might be a reversed sexist, like an anti-male kind of misanthropist or whichever you may call it. I think that's Taylor. She always writes these albums about hating on her exes. And in addition, she's hating on Trump for being an alpha. She wants to vote for more of a beta like Biden, even though Biden has been, you know, accused of abusing his staff, grabs them, sniffs them, does bad things to girls. But I guess that's okay for Taylor Swift because, you know, orange man bad, right? She also stressed the importance of a government that takes global health risks seriously and puts the lives of people first. Swift continued, the only way we can begin to make things better is to choose leaders who are willing to face these issues and find ways to work through them. Things that Trump does, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Swift added that she will proudly vote for Biden and Harris under their leadership. I believe America has a chance to start the healing process it so desperately needs, Swift said, according to the magazine. I find it interesting that they say Biden and Harris, like they put them together way more than usual. Like usually you just vote for Trump or Biden. You don't say I'm voting Trump Pence, I'm voting Biden Harris. Like sometimes you might say that if you're getting more specific, if you're spelling it out extensively, but the fact here, it makes it seem like, oh, they want to mention Biden and Harris because they know Biden is not going to last long. So they're very much voting for Harris too, who will likely take over after like a year. You know, essentially Biden is the wolf in sheep's clothing. He's going to pass or be too senile aisle in like 6 months and Harris will take over. If they win, God forbid, if we actually lose the election and this camp wins, that's why they put their names together. They want to prepare you for that and get Harris's name out there early so it doesn't seem like it comes out of nowhere. Biden thanks Swift for her support and for speaking out at this crucial moment in our nation's history on Twitter. He also appeared to reference lyrics to her hit song Ready For It with a question to followers. Election day is right around the corner. Are you ready for it? He added a link to the website iwillvote.com, which allows residents in all 50 states to check their voter registration status and provides specific details on voting in their state. So this is Biden reacting, trying to sound hip. He's obviously not running this Twitter, though. I mean, there's no way he knows any Taylor Swift songs. This guy doesn't even know how to tie his shoes anymore. And yeah, it's just a reaction. You know, he's got to give her lip service. And, you know, these kinds of people can possibly help. It makes sense when you're running for politics and running for an elected office. But the truth is, we've seen all these endorsements happen so many times, and it truly doesn't affect people as much as they think. And sometimes it turns people away. The star long faced criticism for not speaking out about political issues to her massive following in the past. She broke her political silence in 2018 when she told her millions of Instagram followers that she was voting for Tennessee's then Democrat Senate candidate Phil Bredesen and Democrat Jim Cooper for that U.S. House. While Bredesen lost the election to Republican Marsha Blackburn, Swift's post appeared to cause a spike in voter registration at the time, both in Tennessee and across the U.S. Since then, she has started to regularly speak out about politics and social issues, and lately has been vocal about her opposition to President Trump. So typical, you can see that this artist, this writer, Danielle, looks like your typical feminist too. That's what happened to Taylor Swift. And as you can see by this part, this kind of references how she wasn't political before. As we said, we did a video about her in December 2017, kind of supporting her for not caving in. Now she's flip-flopped and gone and caved in throughout 2018 and since then. And yeah, it also shows the funny part here is like confirming what I said before. Like, she supported this candidate in a Senate election in Tennessee, but he didn't win. It didn't help. You know, you think that would be big for him too, like a small candidate getting the biggest promotion probably ever, and they still lost. And I think that's what's going to happen with Biden and Harris too. That about wraps things up. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day.